Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be playing some Live for Speed. Now I wanted to jump on this game and just really talk about how this game ruined Forza Motorsport for me. And as you probably know, I'm a huge Forza Motorsport fan, but back in the day when I had Forza, I think it was in the early days of Forza 4, I tried this game on the PC with my wheel and I was just blown away at how much better it was than Forza. So we're just going to jump onto a track. We're just on the Blackwood open layout. There's a huge area we can explore, and we're in the turbo sort of Starion 180SX type looking thing. It's not a real car, it's just a fictional car, but it's really fun to drive. So I'm just going to have to reset my view really quick. It's twisted. Where is default? Okay, where are we? Go view offset 0. That's better. So one of the really cool things I liked about this game when I first played it was the way everything is implemented, and this is one thing that got me straight away, is that you can actually proper stall the car, and you know the car lunges and bounces, and it feels really realistic. And to start the car you gotta turn the ignition off, turn it back on again, and we're away. And we nearly stalled it. And another really cool thing is if you stall the car while it's moving, so we've stalled, we can actually clutch start it, which is really cool. I really love being able to do just simple things like that. You know, if you have a spin out and you stall the engine but the car's still rolling, instead of having to muck around trying to restart the car, just give the clutch a pop and get it restarted on the clutch. And another really cool thing was you can change gears without using the clutch. So if you rev match, whoops, and I've not rev matched it. Where's our revs? So we want about 2,500 revs. Let's get this car turned around. So we'll get it to about 2,500. There. Oh, whoops! I used the clutch. I wasn't even thinking. Oops, hang on. So you can get it to go into the next gear without the clutch. So you know, you don't damage the gearbox or the clutch when you do that, which I don't think this game simulates gearbox damage, but it does have clutch damage. So if you can see on the bottom left of the screen, there is CT. Now that is clutch temperature. So if we slip the clutch a whole bunch, you can see that temperature will start to rise quite quickly. And if we really cook the clutch, as you can see, the temperature is gaining really quickly as we're slipping it. So it's got quite a lot of temperature in that clutch now. So if I try and take off, whoops, and I've stalled the car. You can hear that clutch slip as I'm changing gears, because because it's so hot, it can't grip I'm going to call it the flywheel. It's not keeping traction between the engine and the gearbox, so the wheel speed doesn't accelerate with the engine speed as it should, because the clutch is slipping, which is really cool. It's a really cool feature, and I really wish Forza would do something like that. So we can still drive it. Our clutch is pretty cooked, but you can hear how the engine RPM is just hovering really high there. It's because the engine is revving higher, but the clutch can't just put that power through the gearbox and to the wheels. So we'll restart here and get a fresh clutch now that we killed that one. And another really cool thing was you can get hot spots on the tyres. So if we just pull the handbrake there, lock it up, you can see as the wheel rotates, that hot spot is going across the contact patch of the tyre. If I can stop it on that hot spot, oop, I missed it. Oop, yeah, let's try reverse. It's really hard to... There it is. So the tyre itself is mostly 30 degrees across the surface, but where I held the handbrake and just really heated up that one patch of the tyre, you can see the temperature is over double on where the tyre is making the most contact. So that will affect the way the car can grip as the tyre's rotating as you're cornering, because as the hot patch rolls over, it's going to have less grip than the rest of the tyre, so it can affect the way the car handles in a pretty dynamic way, which is really cool. And the other thing the tyre model does, which Forza doesn't do, whoops, and I stalled it, and I got the clutch a bit hot then too. If we do a burnout, get our tyres really hot, whoa, gotta remember this wheel's nice and strong, it'll break my fingers if I'm not careful. And besides what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to get the tyres extremely hot. As you can see, as I'm doing this in the car park, the steering wheel is really direct with what the car is doing. It makes you feel really connected with the car, and you can just make the car do what you want with very little input. Now you can swing it from side to side, and it just aligns itself so perfectly. What I might do here to speed this process up a bit, I'll do a Van Gisbergen, nose it up against something, and we're just going to fry these tyres. And this probably wasn't the best spot to do it, so we're actually lifting one of the wheels off the floor. If I just go over to another spot where all these shipping containers are, looks like a good spot. So we clip the curb. Alright, here's a perfect spot. We'll nose it up against the wall, and we're just going to fry these tyres. And we'll just watch our clutch temperature, make sure we don't kill the clutch while we're doing this. As you can see, not only the surface temperature of the tyre is heating up, but the core temperature, the air pressure inside the tyre, is also heating up. And it's getting really hot now. We can go third gear. We're getting close to 180 degrees across the face of the tyre. When they get to about 200, bam, there they go. Tyres are killed. You can pop your tyres. So if we have a look at the external camera, you can see the tyre's all sagged out because it's burst. Now there's no visual wear on the tyre, but you can very clearly see that there's no air in the tyre anymore, and the tyre just doesn't want to grip the road anymore, not only because it's roasted, but there's nothing in there, and you can see it almost wants to pull the tyre off the wheel. So we'll restart again, and those things are just really cool little mechanics that, it just makes the game feel more real, I guess, and it's really fun to play around with. So yeah, the other thing that really excited me about this game was just how well the wheel operated with the car. Like the aligning torque, the way the wheel behaves in relation to what the car is doing is absolutely ridiculous. Like if we turn to full lock, as soon as we start rolling forward, the aligning torque wants to straighten the wheel and make the car go in a straight line, which is what it's supposed to do. In Forza, you know, you can pretty much lock the wheel, and if you start driving slowly, you can just continuously drive in a circle. The wheel doesn't want to self-rotate. Whereas with this, as soon as there's longitudinal force on that tyre, it tries to straighten the wheel up. And, you know, you just feel everything. Like if we touch a curb here, you'll see it's, you know, it's a small curb, but it's a savage step up for the tyre to go up, and you really feel that through the wheel. And the faster you hit it, you know, the quicker it's over. If we hit it really slow and do a really slow climb up it, oop, and see the wheel doesn't want to climb up it now, because the tyre's not gripping it. If we get the tyre on enough of an angle, it's still not going to go up. Oh, that was a bad example, and we'll stall the car. But you know, you really just feel it through the wheel, and it feels really good. Oh, that was another test I was going to do. I'll quickly do a U-turn. Now this is one test I try to do on Forza. You pull the handbrake and then watch how the wheel just aligns the car. So go a little bit faster this time, but you see that the wheel just, as soon as the car starts to yaw, the wheel responds and tries to keep the car straight. You can see that that's a very different outcome to what we saw in, if you've watched it, my Forza 7 force feedback analysis. When you do that in Forza, on sim steering at least, when the car starts to go sideways, it takes a bit for the wheel to respond, and then because it takes so long, when the car starts changing direction, it pretty much just spins out straight away almost every time, because the game just, the force feedback just doesn't keep up with what the car's doing, and it doesn't feel connected. Whereas this, you know, it's very smooth, and it's very direct and very positive. And you know, even though it doesn't have a lot of the detail from the tyre, like a lot of the newer games have, like Assetto Corsa, you still feel every little bump and divot in the road. And as we drive off-road here, you can really feel that there's not a lot of grip on this surface, because the force isn't as strong as what it is on the tarmac, because the lateral force on the tyre is a lot lower, because there's just not as much traction. But when, you know, you load the suspension up, like if we go over that jump, you'll still get high peak forces as those forces are translated through the wheel. So we'll go a little bit faster this time. It's gone a little bit too quick. See if we can get airborne. See, and the wheel goes light when the car's lifting weight off the wheels. And just the overall feel is really, really impressive. For a game that's made by 3 people, literally 3 people made this game. If you haven't tried it, definitely download the demo. It's free, and you get I think there's about 3 cars you can have a play with, and it's just really, really fun. And just the way the wheel works, the little nifty game mechanics are just really, really fun to play with. And I'm pretty sure you even have like indicators and hazard lights and all that sort of nonsense. it's ridiculous that 3 people made this game, and the driving experience is really, really good. You just have so much confidence in what you can do with the car just because you feel like you're really connected to it. Oops, going a little bit too fast there. Ooh, stay off the wall. Alright, we're going to go back to the shipping container area and just have a bit of a muck around out there. Oh, let's shortcut this way up the big savage curb. And then off this curb, there we go. So there's a nice tight little area that I want to use to demonstrate just how confident I can be in driving the car because of how connected I feel with it. And I'm just going to use one hand. So we're just going to throw it sideways, big speed. This cluster of containers here. We're just going to occasionally I might have to grab 2 hands on the wheel just because it is quite strong and hard to steer. But you see, I can just do this with one hand and it feels so easy. You know, the car just transitions so beautifully. And one of the things on Forza with sim steering is that the car feels really snappy. Now, I don't think it's unrealistic for a car to be able to behave that way, because if we look at this, if I yank the steering and just make the car rapidly weight transfer, it does the same thing that it does on sim steering on Forza. But on Forza, you have to basically, when you're correcting the slide, if you don't unwind the lock, it'll just whip around like it just did then when I applied massive amounts of opposite lock to make it do that. And this game just feels so natural. And you know, you can do a big mungie with very, very little input. Just a bit of throttle control and a couple of little tweaks on the steering just to make sure the car's going the way you want it to. It just feels so good. And this is the game that made me realise Forza is really, really, really shit on the steering wheel. And you know, that's what really made me start getting into like force feedback and what it is supposed to do, and really made me start looking into what causes forces at the steering wheel, and how I got into just looking at all the mechanical side of what makes a car do what it does. As our tyres are getting really hot now, they're getting really slippery. And you know, this game, you just have so much confidence. I can just come up here, tap my rear end. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. Let's see if we'll go through these containers up here. I'll see if I can get 3 wall taps in one pass through. So we want to Oh, going a little bit fast. Oh, that was a bit harder than I wanted to. I'll give that one more try. We want to tap that wall. Tap the one after it. Oops, I missed that one. Missed that one. And I missed that one. That was not exactly what I wanted to do. Give it one more try and then I'll call that the end of the video. Whoop, that's too hard. Alright. God damn it. One more. The tyres are really, really hot. So it's like we've got 1,000 horsepower. Ah, we still missed it. Ah. Can we touch this one? Yes! A little bit harder than I would have liked, but let's see if we can get a high speed wall tap on this one. Oh, no, a bit far away. Oh, I just kissed it. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the video. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!